Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We from Group C will explain about experiment, collision, and impulse. First of all, I will introduce about this a little bit about this experiment. The impulse experienced by the object equals to the change in momentum of the object. For collision, objects experience an impulse causes and equals to the change of momentum. It has similar unit with momentum, which is Newton per second or kilogram meter per second. In this project, we have found ways to reduce injury when humans are involved in accident. Instead, for this experiment, we will be using eggs, balloons, and straws as experiment materials to apply the concept of collision and impulse. Therefore, we will test how the eggs react on different surfaces.
Our experiment is called para egg. Wait, So, our experiment is called para egg, and so this experiment use collision and impulse based on the Newton second law, which is F equals to ma. And from that formula, we can derive acceleration as final velocity minus initial velocity per time, and you will get F equals to mv minus mu per time. And this new formula is actually impulse force formula. So impulse force is defined as the rate of change of momentum over a short action time of a moving object. So if you understand the formula, if the mv minus mu, if we make it constant, meaning like we change the change of momentum, we make it constant, it will become a new formula that is F is inversely proportional to time. So if F is inversely proportionate to time, you will get two cases, which is longer time of collision produce smaller impulse force, and shorter time of collision produce bigger impulse force. But in our experiment here, we gonna use the first one, the first one, that is longer time of collision produce smaller impulse force. For example, pole vaulting. When you vault over the pole, the function of the mattress is to increase your time of landing, or in this case collision with the ground. So the actually the main function is to absorb the impulse force from your body, so that you receive less impulse force, so that the damage that it incurred on your body is less. Hence, if we apply it to our experiment, our egg will only if the survive the impact and safely landed if the impulse force produced is small, meaning that the time is longer. The time of collision is longer. Or in our experiment, we gonna prove this physics concept. Thank you.
Okay, so for this experiment, we have three objectives. The first one is to design a protective device for a raw egg to make sure it can be dropped from the height onto the hard surface. And the second one is to reduce the impulse force on the egg to prevent the injuries. And the last objective for this experiment is to define and give examples to explain about impulse.
Okay, moving on, I will present our project model diagram. This is our project model diagram. We use straws and eggs to make our model. This is our model, and we bind the straws using white tape and insert the egg inside the straws. The next diagram is this. So for this model, we use balloons and eggs. We put the eggs surrounded by the balloons and tie them together.
We're gonna start with our methodology. Okay, for the first, for straw with egg. Okay, firstly, take 3-inch long straws to build a regular triangular pyramid. Next, take two of the straws and join them together to sort of make a mega straw and use the white tape to help prevent it from buckling. Then put the egg in the middle, make 6 of those mega straws and simply tape one to each edge of the pyramid. Okay, finally, make sure there are no straw pointing directly at the egg.
Next, we're going to continue for the balloons. First of all, we need to blow up 4 tiny balloons and cushioning the eggs in the middle of those tiny balloons. Use some double-sided tape and binding tape. The third, blew up 8 big balloons and tied it all together with also tiny balloons with some string and tape tightly. Make sure there is no gap between the balloons to maximize the efficiency.
Okay, this is the modeling and simulation of our project. So we have three models, egg with straws and egg with balloons. So with these three models, we throw on top of the building and see what's happened next, whether the egg breaks or not. So we have to record it for our project.
So today I'm going to continue one of my friends' presentation. I'm going to present about the experiment. So firstly, the manipulated variable is type of protection. In this case, we set three type of protection. That is the control one, that is egg with no protection at all. Egg B, that is egg with straw protection, and egg C, egg with balloon protection. Secondly, is responding variable. Is the condition of egg. We gonna observe the condition of egg after the drop and what happened to the surface of egg or the egg condition in general. The next constant variable is the weight of the egg. According to the formula, according to the formula, uh the weight of an egg is one of the variable that need to be in that formula. So we're gonna like buy and weigh an egg that is uh the same weight. I'm gonna continue with the procedure. So firstly, we're gonna set aside three different egg with the same weight and label it as A, B, and C. The same way is our constant variable. So secondly, this is the first step for egg A experiment, that is the egg without any protection. Egg A, uh, we're gonna release egg A from a two-story building, which height is 20 feet above the ground. The, because we're gonna observe that the observation is the egg gonna break. So next, for egg B, we're gonna take 3-inch long straw to build a regular triangular pyramid to hold the egg in place. If you can imagine a pyramid and you just put an egg in the middle. So fourth, we're gonna take two of the straw and join them together to sort of make a bigger straw and white tape and tape to help prevent it from buckling. So we're gonna continue with the fifth procedure, is that we put the egg in the middle of a pyramid and make 6 of the biggest straw and simply tape one to each other edge on the pyramid. The meaning, like the triangle that we already got, right? We tape the big straw so that it become longer, so that it become elongated. So next, we make sure there are no straw pointing directly toward the egg to prevent force being exerted to the egg. So the explanation here is that if the tip of the straw are focused onto the eggshell, and if like any force, if you give any force, like if you drop from the rooftop or drop from a certain height, the force are gonna focus on one place. And if you follow the formula of pressure, the less the surface area, the more pressure it is. So it's gonna break the eggshell, and we're gonna release the egg from the same height above the ground. So the same height is like the same height of egg A.
So I will continue my friend's presentation. Next, I will present about the balloon. So for XC, we blow up 4 tiny balloons, then cushion it with the egg in the middle, and wrap the balloon with cellophane tape. So the purpose we wrap it around so that the egg won't move lah. Next, we blew up the big balloons and tie it all together with some strings and tape. Make sure there is no gap between the balloons. We don't want the balloon to move lah. So to make it firm. And finally, we repeat the same step. We release the egg with the balloons from the same height above the ground. And then lastly, we record our observation from the experiment in a table. After this, we will watch a short video about our experiment. So please enjoy the video. Thank you. So did you guys enjoy the video? So right now I will explain about our result. So for the protection, which is no protection. So on the 3 trials, 3 of the egg breaks. For the protection with straws, the first and the second trial did not break. But unfortunately, the third trial it breaks. For the balloon, luckily the uh, 3 of the trials we made, the balloons, the egg did not break. Okay, so our presentation has reached its end. Now I will pass the presentation to another presenter. Thank you.
This is our Gantt chart. On the first week, we received the Apex proposal project. We made some discussions regarding about the topic that we would choose for the experiment. On the second week, we began to purchase items and build the project. On the third week, we analyze and conduct our experiment. Followed by the fourth week, we improve our project. And on the fifth week, we do the experiment and make conclusion.
And lastly is about our conclusion. Uh, our conclusion is we able to explore different materials available to create a protective device for the raw egg. And second is we can learn how to keep the egg from cracking by minimize the force on the egg when it hits the ground. And last conclusion is we know to increase the time over which the egg comes to rest. we should provide the egg with something to absorb some of the force of the impact.